Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. So I hope that you stay tuned and you watch the webinar that I did for foreclosuredaily.com. As far as being a real estate investor, it's really important to have good sources of off-market properties. And, I talk about a lot about, there's driving for dollars, you can buy all kinds of different subscriptions, but the one that I like is foreclosuredaily.com. And the reason I like them is one, they're very affordable. Two, I get deals off of their list. And three, I don't find it to be very competitive in terms of what other investors are using. So this is my home screen that I wanted to show you and just show you how easy it is to use them. So these are the type of lists that you can get for your properties. So for today's example, I'm going to focus on pre-probates because this is a lot of people do probates, which they do have here, but pre-probates are the people who passed away, and these are recent, and they have not filed their probate. So the reason I like this is, and it did take me a little bit of time to figure out the best way to market that, and so I'm going to save you some time so you can figure out how to market to these lists. So I'm going to be going back and forth so I can make sure I'm sharing the right screen. So we're just going to click into pre-probates here. And then you'll see the property search. And I'm going to just stop my share for a minute because I want to make sure that I'm on the right screen. There we go. So bear with me, the techno thing. Okay, so this is where it will take you. And you come up here, your data type. So we're talking about pre-probate leads. If you were to get their eviction or absentee owners, that's where this would show up. And then I'm in Texas, so I want to do Texas. But if I could pay, for lists in other states. And then what county? So I'm just going to pick, these are the ones that I normally market to. So I'm going to put Hood, and I'll put, let's do Dallas County, okay? And then the dates, now because of when I'm recording this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to January just to show you kind of a full month of leads. Okay, so now remember, these are all pre-probate, and I'm going to give you a little tip about how to market to them in just a minute. So if I wanted to cull the list down, I like rentals that are built 1978 or newer. I like 2-bedroom, 3-bath. So you could do that. But for today's example, what I'm going to do is just come down here and I'm going to click search. And the cool thing about this is you can actually download the data. You can see it right here. It's going to show up below, but I could export it into an Excel. I could export it into a CSV file, or I could just print labels. So I'm going to go ahead and do Excel, and then I'll get a message, download entire search results. Okay, I'm going to stop share so I can go get that list and show it to you. So bear with me while I open up my Excel worksheet for you. And we're going to come back to share. Here we go. If there was an easier way to go back and forth, somebody please put it in the comments for me. Okay, so I've pulled down. I did Denton. I guess this one was an older one I did. So it has Denton and Dallas. So, let me go get that one that had, well, we'll use this one. So Denton, the county of Denton, and then Hood County. So it'll give you the list. So for that month, for those two counties, there was a total of, it looks like 32 names that I can market to. And you'll see like Hood County is much smaller. Now remember, these people just passed away, so these are not from the court records. And I'll give you the county, of course, the state. Now there's no file date because they have not filed their probate. The first name, last name, middle, and then again, case number, but there is no case because they haven't filed yet. Pre-probate, and then it gives you the property address. It'll tell you where the property is, the city. It'll tell you the legal description. So if you're looking for particular properties, this is really great because it gives you all this info. And then you come over here, and if the mailing address is different from the property address, you actually have that. What I have found 9 times out of 10, the property address and mailing address are the same. And then you'll come over a little bit more and you'll see there's the property value. Now, for me, this is important because I don't market to high-end properties, right? So this property is like 76,000 or 176,000. They don't put commas in, so it makes it a little hard. So this is a $500,000 property. So for me, that doesn't work for my investing model. But hey, you might be somebody that's looking for a homestead, or if it happened to be in a good area, an Airbnb. So that's what I like about it. There's just multiple ways. Sometimes there's land in here. Let's see if we can find any land. Yep, there's vacant land right there. Mobile homes will show up. So it'll give you that. And then it'll give you the date of death. So remember, I pulled a December. So if you get these lists every week. You don't have to wait a month. You get them every week. And you have access. So the way they work is you pay basically for several months at a time, which makes it a good discount. But let's say I pulled this list on December 10th and I started calling. You think they want to hear from me? No. And that's what I did in the very beginning. I thought, oh, I'm just going to take that action and I'm going to start calling these people and mailing them. And I got so many angry people. I was called a vulture. I was called, a hearse chaser. So what I found is that if I waited a minimum of 4 weeks, but usually it was about 6, that I would do my mailer. And my mailers are very simple. It's just a note card. As I get blank note cards, I hire a mom in my neighborhood, and she writes a very simple message that simply says, let's go back to the beginning here. So take this last name here. Let's take Gerald Taylor. And so my the card will be addressed to the Taylor family. Inside the note will say, dear Taylor family, I'm interested in the property at 5306 Kings Manor Drive. If you are interested in selling, please call me. And that's all I do. Now, you would be amazed at so when you do direct mailing, the key is to get them to open it, right? And that's why I use the note cards. It looks like a birthday card. It looks like an invitation. And I get a pretty high rate of open and calls. Not every call is a deal, but I get enough that make me continue my subscription to this. So at the end of this video, what I did is I wanted to just kind of show you how simple it was to use these pre-probate leads. And down in the comments below, you can get a code to contact them, and you can get a discount on a subscription. So check them out, super easy, and watch the video, the webinar that I did for them that talks about how I use their list to find deals. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.
Is going to be sharing a lot of good things with us tonight. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time out to be on this call tonight. I'm going to go over a slideshow presentation myself for the first maybe 10 minutes. Now, don't forget to send in your Q&A. If you can click Q&A right now and just put yes that you hear me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I do not do raised hands, so please don't raise your hand if you have something to say. Thank you for the yeses. I know you can hear me now. I see that you can hear me. If you have something to say, just ask it on the Q&A. Don't raise your hand because I don't answer raised hands. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the presentation. I'm Tangi Cousins. I've been with Foreclosures Daily since 2004. I've helped many investors, realtors, and attorneys grow their business and increase their revenues. I teach people how to use the different types of leads that we have to offer. I teach the do's and don'ts of marketing, what to say, what not to say, how often to mail, what goes on in your letter, and so on and so forth. And when you purchase our leads, it comes with a lot of bonuses, which we'll go over in just a little bit. But who we are as Foreclosures Daily is we're a nationwide lead provider. That's right, we provide leads throughout the whole entire nation, you guys. We provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time home buyer. We've been in the business since 2004. And since then, we have been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed, timely, and accurate information. And here's how we're different. There's a lot of providers out there, right, guys? I mean, how do you know how to pick the right one? You know, what do you do and what type of questions do you ask? And here's the things you want to know. All of our leads have real estate attached. So make sure that you farm for real estate. It's different when you're using leads and they're not farming for real estate. For example, 300 people will file probate or a divorce in 1 week. and maybe only 15 will have property. You do not want to market to 300 people when only 15 had property. Can you imagine skip tracing 285 extra names, mailing 285 extra clients when you don't have to at all? We're like the only company who has weekly, fresh data that's actually farmed for real estate. Other companies tend to be quarterly and they're not farming for real estate. So it's very important and imperative that you guys understand that. So, checking out other lead services, that's great. But the thing is if they're not farming for real estate and they're not weekly and fresh, everybody's going to be beating you to the punch, guys. So cheap is not better. Remember, cheap leads, you pay for cheap price, you're going to get cheap leads. So cheaper is definitely not better. There are no shortcuts when it comes to this type of data. Most companies that we have found are quarterly and they're not farming for property. And we here understand the importance at Foreclosure Daily of having fresh weekly data with real estate. Now, here's some of the types of leads that we do offer. I'll let you go ahead and look those over for just a moment. Nancy's going to be talking about the pre-probates tonight, but we also do probate, pre-probate, absentee owners, inheritance, divorce leads, tax lates, auctions, list pendants, cash buyers, code violation, eviction, distress, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the leads that we can offer, and we can also do customized leads for you too, specific age type, specific how long they've owned the property, LTV, equity in the property, so on and so forth, stuff like that. These are the types of postcards that we recommend. Guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but because we've been doing this for so long, we actually give you a lot of bonuses when you purchase the leads with us. We're going to give you these access to these postcards. And this mailhouse company that we give you access to will actually do these postcards for you. They're right there. All you have to do is click on them, pick them, customize them, and they only charge you 42 cents, 38 to 42 cents to send their postcards on the link that we give you and to share with you. So 38 to 42 cents. Companies out there are charging 99 cents on the same kind of postcard. And we got a really good deal set up with them for you guys to get them for you for 38 to 42 cents with postage. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, guys. We've already got it all taken care of for you. And here's the handwritten letter we recommend. Now, this is a handwritten font, but the same company will do for you. Guys, most people charge $1.10 to do the handwritten font. These guys, we got a discounted rate for you guys for only 64 cents with postage, and they'll send these letters for you. I recommend simple, basic marketing. Hi, my name is John. I understand you may have a property for sale. If you do, I'd like to buy your property. I can close fast, cash, as is, less than 30 days. Hey, you can even leave the unwanted items in your house. You don't even need to clean, update, rehab, repair the property. I'll buy the property just the way that it is. Oh, and by the way, I can even help you pay for your probates if you need some financial assistance. So that's some things that you can put in the letter. Notice that my letter's not talking about condolences. It's not offering sympathy. You don't want to do things like that. It's very upsetting to people when they go open their mail when they just lost a loved one like a week ago, and you're offering condolences and sympathy. And by the way, can I get your house at a discounted rate? So my wife and we're working on our residual income for our retirement. I mean, that's a very offensive way to start it off. So you never, ever, ever want to offer condolences and sympathy when you're offering to purchase their property. Just basically get to the situation at hand. Hey, I can help you. I can close fast, cash, as is, things like that. You want to do trigger points. And I teach marketing because you want to talk about people's fears in marketing to people. Be very generic in your letter. And Nancy's actually going to go over that with you tonight too. So here's some of the bonuses you guys are going to receive. You're going to receive a 6-step mailing campaign telling you how often to mail, a 6-touch campaign telling you what to mail first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. You're going to get some phone scripts on how to negotiate with the seller, how to talk to the person who answers the phone. You're going to get a script on how to speak to the attorney. I'm going to even give you an email to send to the attorney. You're going to get postcards, letters. We're actually going to mail a probate book to you. And this probate book is so cool. It's called Probate Real Estate Sales 101. And the owner and this company actually knows the author. His name is Kevin Sales, and he wrote the book called Probate Real Estate Sales 101. And we're actually going to mail that book directly to you. And because we know him, we did a webinar with you. So we'll share his webinar replay with you, teaching the 7 ways to make money in probate real estate investing. So you're going to get also a link to receive reduced rates for skip tracing. And what's really cool is if you work the pre-probates, like who do you call, right? What you want to do is you want to skip trace the decedent's name and you want to reach directly out to them. But this mailhouse company, this skip tracing company, we have a situation set up with them to where they're actually going to skip trace the surrounding family members for you and give you their phone numbers too. And they do this all for 15 cents. They give you the decedent's phone number, and if you ask them for free, unlike any other company we found, they'll actually skip trace and give you the phone numbers to the surrounding family members too. So those are just some of the things that we can do for you when you purchase leads from us. I'm going to go over our pricing really quick. We do have some awesome specials going on. So the owner wanted us to give you a free county for trying out our services between now and Friday. So if you try any one of these services out between now and Friday, probate or pre-probate or inheritance or code violation or eviction or divorce, these prices are for each of them. We're going to throw one free county in for you instead of charging you 50% off. That's right, guys, 2 counties for the price of 1 at the discounted rate, which is something we never ever do, only on certain situations like webinars and special things once in a while. So this is the special. We're going to give you these discounted rates, and if you buy by Friday, you get a free county, okay? Take a picture of the slide because it's going away and it's not coming back, you guys. I'm about to introduce Nancy in just a few moments. So these types of leads we offer you is for each of these services, not all of them for that price. And this is by Friday only, guys, okay? So just let us know if you want to purchase. This is my contact information. This is my email. You can call me on my work line. You can text me. You can reach out to your agent that you're already dealing with. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about Nancy Wallace. Nancy Wallace, like I said, she is a broker, an investor, and she is the second-time author of the book. One of the books that she just got through writing recently is going to be released shortly, and she's going to tell you tonight how to get access before it's even released to the public. And not only that, she just wrote the book Winning Deals and Heels, and it was a big, huge hit. So without further ado, I'd love to go ahead and introduce Nancy Wallace. She's going to share her video and unmute her voice and show us her screen. Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Tangie, thanks
Go
so
ahead and
much for
unmute
having
yourself.
me. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited to share and talk about your great
Sorry.
company and everything. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Nancy. We really appreciate you taking the time out to be on the call tonight. I'm so glad we've been trying for like a year to get you, and you finally committed. And I know you've been so busy writing your book, and you're busy being a broker and a realtor and investor, and holding all these different cards in your table. And we really appreciate you being on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I'm excited to share how I think I was talking to Jennifer Ortiz. She's my rep from preforeclosures.com, and she's amazing. Like you said, I do the pre-probates. That's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey figuring out what the best way to work it is, and we've tried some marketing. I have a little slide that talks about our process. Once we finally got it, took a couple months for me to kind of get it all down, and you have to remember I'm not a techno person, so downloading, sorting, and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of moving parts for me at the very beginning. But now we have a really smooth system going on, and very happy with the results. And anybody that saw that slide, because I usually take advantage of the deals too. That's how I got on originally. You need to sign up by Friday. You won't be sorry. So I think out of all the marketing I've done, this is by far the best return on my investment. So.
Well, that's really good to know. Now, I know you have a slideshow to show. Before you get started on that, though, I do want to talk to you. How long have you been a broker?
So I got my broker's license maybe about 8 or 10 years ago. And the reason I got it was because I was in property management for a very long time, for almost 15 years, and the company that I was with, I was a Keller Williams agent, and so they required you to have a broker's license. So I got it when the getting was good, because they've changed the rules and regulations now. So I got my broker's license because I had a property management company, and so then I did that for a long time, and I did get out of the property management because I went to full time. I have rentals. In 2000, I've been through the market, in 2008, 9, bought some rentals. Then I've done flips, I've done wholesaling, owner financing. So what I love about real estate investing is that it's so creative. Like if you're a creative person, can think outside the box, you can find an exit strategy for just about any lead that you can get under contract. So.
Well, that's a great story. So when you became a broker, you were not an investor at that time, correct?
Well, I got my license primarily to, to get the commission when I bought my first rental property. I was like, oh, let's do that. That when I first started investing, I wasn't in real estate. I wasn't a realtor. Then I got my realtor's license to get the commission, have access to the MLS, because, back then you could look on the MLS and find some really good deals. And it's not so much like that. And then the broker's license came because of the property management. I got really involved, and I got into property management because I had rentals and I really wanted to understand how to manage and make my rentals profitable, how to manage tenants, how to, just select the best tenant for your property, and then overall management, the do's and don'ts, and just really taking care of. And my philosophy is long-time tenants. I love long-time tenants. I don't really like churn because it's, costs money when a tenant moves out. So the key to having really good rentals is to make sure that you get a good tenant in there and they stay for a long time. So the first rental property I bought, we held it for about 12 years, and then the market, we just sold it recently because the house more than doubled in price in the area that it was in. And it got to the point where the tenant wasn't going to be able to keep up with the rent increases that we were having to charge. But he was my first tenant, and he basically paid for that house twice over. Yay. Those are the kind of tenants I like.
That's awesome. So you primarily do rentals. So you hold on to it for the residual.
Yes, we do. That's what we primarily do. We do other things too. I did used to do a lot more flipping, but I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it is really competitive here. And with the there's contractors that you have to deal with and all that kind of stuff. And so, I found that I make more money either doing rentals or owner financing. So those are kind of my two strategies. And when I have a property that's just, I'll do referrals. Like, even though I'm a broker, I don't do a lot of listings. I have a partner that I'll refer a lot of the listings that we get from the pre-probates. So what I focus on are the that's primary my marketing. And then from the pre-probate, that's kind of grown into a referral program, because if you handle these families with care and respect, they're going to remember that. They're going through a difficult time, and they're going to remember that. And I've gotten several deals off of referrals from people that I originally got from the pre-probates.
Well, what made you get into doing the pre-probate?
So a funny story, so we've done a lot of different marketing. I've done door knocking, I've done the font thing, and, pre-foreclosure list. And so I met Jennifer at a networking event. And so for your audience, if anybody out there knows me, they know I ask a lot of questions. I'm just like, I drill down, I'm very direct, and I like to see results pretty quickly. So Jennifer and I kind of had a talk, and what I really liked about the pre-probates as opposed to was that they were kind of fresh. And I had done another company for just probate, and I totally agree with you about, you do whatever company you're using, because the one I had was, they just did probate, but there was sometimes not real estate attached, and you have to cull through that, and that's just a lot of wasted energy and money on marketing that you don't need to spend. So what I liked was that the attachment of real estate. And I can't even think of, out of all the 2 years that I've been doing this, I can't even think of anyone that I actually spoke to that they didn't say they had real estate, where the other company would be like, oh, well, no, we have guns, or we have jewelry, or we don't have, granny's tea set, or whatever it was, it was not. And so that's what I like. So number one, I like that. Number two, you were running some awesome sale, and it was kind of like, well, seems like I could try that. It was like one of your shorter sales for like 3 months, and it was very affordable. So I said, well, you know what, I'm just going to try this. And so within the first 60 days, because it did take me a little while just to get the rhythm and all of that. And funny, because I didn't realize, and I'm through the training, Jennifer told me this, and we laughed about it later, but I didn't realize that you could do all these sorts on the website. So I was just downloading everybody, because that's what I did. And then I was sending out mass postcards and letters and everything. And so the first 30 days didn't go quite according to plan. And then I kind of figured out, oh, look, I can tailor it to the types of properties that I'm looking at. So I'm partial for rentals on 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, you know, certain square footage, and all that information is right there, and areas and zip codes. So I could do a more targeted campaign. And so what started happening is for every 100 mailer pieces I sent out, we would get 10 phone calls. Now this is averaged over the last 18 months. And of those 10 phone calls, we were averaging 1 deal. And I have this in a spreadsheet later I can share with everybody. And then the 1 deal, we were averaging about $5,000 profit from that 1 deal. So, okay, that pays for that. I think the first time I got onto the program, it was like, I don't know, maybe $3.99 or something. So
it was $5.99.
Yeah, $5.99. So the one thing I can say about your list, and I bought other lists, is that it's a good return on investment, and I have always gotten my money back, usually within my first or second deal that I do. So I love that, you know what I mean? So then it becomes everything else above that, because if you're in real estate investing, the number one thing you need is deal flow. You need deal flow. So you've got to spend marketing dollars. And when you just start throwing money out there, I think you use the word just kind of just throwing it out, you know, throwing a neighborhood, I mean, a lot of realtors do farming and that kind of thing. That doesn't really work for me. And you spend a lot of money doing that. So I liked the pre-probate because it was targeted and it had attachment, and your website is very simple, very easy. And I like the weekly. I also like the weekly. It's if you're working just yourself, or I have a couple VAs, it's very easy to keep up with.
Yeah, and it's a small amount. You know, when you market to these leads, you're not getting a huge amount. You're
No,
not more than 25 a week. You're targeting a small group of people, but you're yielding
so
much
we
bigger
started out with like 3 counties. And so I purposely didn't go with the most popular counties. And that was the other thing. I was able to target other areas that are kind of a circumference around where I felt comfortable I could drive to, or I had boots on the ground that could check out the properties for me. And really, I didn't have a lot of competition for other people contacting these. So contacting the leads. So we had really good success. And then since then, I've moved closer into where I live. You know, you have a few more leads that you can go after, but again, you can be more selective. So I think that's what I really like about yours, because I've ordered other lists where you just get this big, you know, 4,000, you know, 6,000 lists, but then you have to cull through them, because there's no way you can, unless you have a big team. And a lot of times, and I have done mailers where it's like 4,000 pieces, and then, you know, 25% of them come back, and then, you know,
return is normal. And you tell everybody that return is normal when you work these types of
return is normal. And so, in fact, I had some, I wanted to show some examples of some of the materials that we use. So we've used postcards. These are return, you know, we return. And then we'll skip trace them. Now I've used you guys's, but I had, prior to getting there, I had already a contract, so I had skip traced them. So we'll do what you do. We've had VAs call, you know, follow up with people. But my most successful campaign is, if y'all have a dollar store around your area, I go buy those little packets for $1. You get like 6 or 8 cards. And they're just blank note cards, right? And I hired a mom in my neighborhood, and she just writes out a little message, and it just says, you know, I'm interested in the property at so-and-so, and if you're interested in selling. And I did have to laugh because I had a partner. She might be on tonight because she texted me earlier and asked me if I was going to be doing this, but we were doing some pre-probate, and she's like, well, you know, she felt strongly that we should kind of recognize that somebody died, right? And I was like, I don't know about that. And sure enough, so we kind of did a test market. Yeah, don't do that, because it was not pleasant. We got some pretty angry calls.
Well, I teach marketing, and you're bringing up an emotion that there's no reason to bring up, and it's a negative emotion.
And it does sound kind of, you know, hey, I'm sorry, so, you know, grandma died and I want to buy your house. You know, that doesn't really make good. It doesn't set the tone. It's not the tone. You know, you are there to assist them with the sale. But you know, we've done letters, we've done it all. So you know, and it just depends on your style. Like, so if I had a bigger list, then I would do, when we first started, we did do postcards, because when you first start, you might have a backlog, not a backlog, but you know how
back data.
Yes. back data. And then, so it was too much for handwriting. So we did order postcards, and, you know, one happened to be around Halloween. So we did a Halloween one. And then I think one time we did a, you know, it was just a postcard, because I do like postcards for the cost. The message is kind of the same. And you can see this is kind of early, you know, Nancy kind of, you know, I'm kind of a homemade gal. This is a homemade postcard. And as a realtor, I get a discount at Office Depot, so I'll have them do up cards for me as well. So we've done all kinds of things. But when we have a handle, I love, it seems like we have the highest response rate from the little handwritten cards, because they look like an invite or, you know, a birthday. And then we had, another tip, if you have someone like, I had a lady that was working for us for a while, and her granddaughter was, I think she was about 13, 14 years old, and I had her write, you know, I hired the granddaughter, and she was so cute, and it looked like, it didn't look adultish, you know what I mean? It looked like a kid might have wrote it. So, and we had a really high open rate with those as well. So.
That's awesome. That's great. That's good stuff. Now, I did leave one thing out. No, you actually run a real estate group, right?
I do. So I run the Dallas chapter of the Invest Her. So it was started in Philadelphia. Liz Faircloth is the main organizer, I guess you would say.
So it's not investor, it's Invest Her.
Invest Her, yes. So when you Google it, if you go to Meetup, they're actually meetups. And right now we're having Zoom calls and Zoom meetups because of, you know, everything that's going on. But it's focused on women real estate investors. We have women, it's, you know, I mean, men can come, but we're focused on women. Part of the reason that I wrote the book, it started out as the differences between men and women real estate investors. And all you gals can probably relate to this, because you can go to any real estate conference, and who is up on the stage? Very few times is it women. And if it is, it's usually for marketing or legal, you know, and there's a ton of successful women real estate investors out there. So I feel really strongly about giving a voice to women real estate investors. And I do think at times we have struggles that are different than a man, whether it's dealing with contractors or lenders or whatever it is. And we think differently than men. So kind of just, the book was about bringing to light women real estate investors. So the Dallas Invest Her is a once a month meetup. We meet the first Monday of every month. And I have a contact page in here. So if you want to, since we're doing Zoom, we're taking a break for July and August, but we'll start up again in September. But they are having on Friday, this Friday, June 12th, they're having an all-day, the first ever virtual summit for real estate investing women. That's pretty cool. You can go and you can just Google Invest Her meetup, and you'll find all the different chapters. I think Dallas was the 25th chapter, but they're like in 130 countries now, and pretty big following. So it's pretty cool though. So I'm excited. I like bringing the message of women real estate investing. Not that we like the men too, you know, but I just think sometimes women need to have a place in the real estate investing world. Oh, can't hear you, lost.
So how long have you been running the real estate group?
So I've been the organizer for a little over a year now. So we started about maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay, have you always lived in Dallas?
I have not. So I hail from Kansas, and I lived in Olathe, Kansas, way before Kittis, outside of Kansas City. And then I moved to Phoenix. And the way we ended up in Dallas was really I was not in real estate. I was, my claim to fame is a blood bank management consultant. I've traveled all over the US, Canada, and did a stint in England, talking to people about how to make their call centers in a blood bank. So if you've ever donated blood and somebody's called you, usually I'm the one that kind of told them how to be more efficient. Not that I told them to call you. So, and when 9/11 happened, myself and my counterpart in San Diego, we were asked to do a one-time blood donor study. And my first time I was ever published is in transfusion medicine, because we actually did a study on first-time blood donors after 9/11. So I know that's kind of dating myself. Anyway, so Phoenix started having this crazy 2008. Houses were just selling I mean, we would see one in our neighborhood, they started flipping. Now remember, we didn't know anything about real estate or anything. So we started going to a couple open houses, and we had lived in our house for about 8 years. And, you know, our kids were growing up and all that. And we were looking to buy a new house. Well, for what we had, you couldn't afford that house anymore because of the prices had gone so high, skyrocket. So my husband and I thought about it, and we said, dang, when can you ever make this kind of money? And what we did is we quit our jobs, put our house on the market, and within 3 weeks, we moved to Texas. And we had some friends that were here, and we had been here, and I like Texas, never looked back. And so that's how I got started in real estate investing.
What year was that?
2005.
Okay, so that's 15 years ago. How many deals have you done since then?
I don't know, over 50, I think. I don't know.
And they're all in Dallas?
They are all in Dallas. Yeah, I haven't ever invested outside the state yet. We've talked about it, but you know, I'm kind of a control freak. So I kind of like to see my investments, and I feel like you have a little bit more control over costs and things like that, because with you, and I would love to invest in other areas. I mean, I have friends that do that. You know, you just give away a little bit of control, and then if things happen in that market, you've really got to be on top of what's going on in the market. And unless you have trusted boots on the ground, that's probably not for me right now. So
are you the proud landlord of 50 rentals right now?
No, I don't have that many rentals. So no, we have a few rentals, but not 50. But at one time I was managing for other people. Like, it was just myself and one other person. We had like 125 doors that we managed on a year-to-year basis. So I did a lot of negotiations with the landlord. And the crazy part is that it all was organic. We didn't advertise. It was just word of mouth. And we grew this property management company. And you know, after you do that for a while, you know, some circumstances changed. And so I was like, kind of said, well, you know what, I need a new chapter in my life. And so I got out of property management, but I've done a ton of speaking at like national conventions about how to do tenant selection, and you know, legally, and within fair housing. And you know, there's some qualifiers, some key performance indicators, if you will, about how you can select a tenant for your rental to make sure that it's cash flow, minimize repairs. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a landlord and you're going to have buy and holds, you want to be profitable. I mean, that's why people get into it. They want to have good cash flow. They want to build their net worth. They want to be able to leave a legacy. And
got to know your KPI. Yep.
Yeah, they got to know your KPIs. And, you know, if you want to have that kind of life and, you know, eventually get to the point where you can hand it over to a property manager, you've got to have steps in place and measures in place. Otherwise, you'll be like a squirrel on the wheel. What is that?
Are you using a property management company now to handle your rentals?
Okay, unfortunately, I don't. I still manage them, because you know why? Because every time I go to interview a property manager, it's like, yeah, you should have known that, or you should have. And because of the system I have in place, it takes me no time to manage my properties. All of my properties are on autopilot. Now we're getting ready to add just a few more. And yes, I am moving towards. So remember, I said I was a control freak. And I did find someone that she's just as knowledgeable as I am. But when you start interviewing, because what will happen is you'll find realtors that want to supplement their income by becoming a property manager. They don't have rentals of their own. They've never managed it. And property management is the most litigious aspect of real estate investing. So you really have got to know what you're doing if you're going to, manage tenants and keep your properties profitable. Because, I talk to people all the time about tenant screening. And even if you own the property, you need to make sure that you're following the same procedure every single time for every single person. If you don't, you can get a lawsuit slapped on you so fast for discrimination. And where this really comes into play is I'll have people call me, and my process is that you have to have a social security number or some way for me to run a credit check, right? That's my rule. That's my,
right.
It's
of course.
So but if I change that for this person over here or that person over there, then I'm not keeping to the same standards for every single person. That can seem as discrimination. So it's really important as a landlord and property manager that you have written procedures in place, even for your own, even if you only own one. You need to have written procedures about how you go about screening tenants.
Okay, well, for our viewers, because some of them are realtors,
Yes.
they're gonna want to know things like, what do you run into as a broker? Because you're pitching them as an investor. So do you disclose this? Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I get this question all the time. So when I mail my card, you know, okay, so first off, it has my husband's name on it, right? So because, you know, as a realtor, I'm supposed to say on there, you know, I'm a realtor. So, and then I don't generally answer the phone. So we have it set up where once we call our list and get it together, we use call rail. So I have designated numbers for my areas that I'm calling in, so I can track, like, okay, they're calling from this area, that area, or whatever it is. And I'll have someone else answer that. Now, I've used an answering service, I've used partners, I've used virtual assistants, but the point is I'm not answering the phone. And so then they're kind of pre-screening the person. And then at the first contact that I have, so let's say the person does call and it rolls over to me by accident, then yes, at the very onset of the call, I disclose that I am a real estate broker. But you know what, the conversation is just, I'm just disclosing that just to let you know there's no commissions if I buy your house. You're not paying me. I'm buying, because I'm buying the house for myself, right? I don't list it. If it is a retail situation and I don't want the property, then I actually refer that out to one of my realtor teammates so that they can do that, and they pay me a referral fee because I don't have time to do listings. And that's how I handle it. And it's never been, in fact, the only time I've ever had an issue with it is one time a realtor called me. And they said, "Are you a realtor?" And I said, "Yes, I am." "Well, you're supposed to disclose it." But other than that, I've never, ever had a problem or people being upset about it. But I do disclose as soon as I talk to the person.
Okay. All right. Well, Nancy, how do you feel about starting your slides? And I'll just kind of let you take it over.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to say right now, they're probably not the most professional, but we'll go here. We're going to start here.
Now, when you're done doing your slides, let me know when you want to open it up for Q&A. We need to be done by 7:30. So we do have.
Okay, well, let me go here. So what I do is I'm going to kind of talk to everybody about when I start working with people, and if you want to make a lot of money, and this is, now I'm speaking specifically to people who are interested in buy and hold single family, not multifamily. This could be duplexes, but not apartment complexes. So if, let's say, like in the first year, 2020, you want to make, a profit of $9,000. Okay, so this is based on having 100 qualified leads. You're converting 5% of them, or you're getting 5 properties over 12 months. And this is an actual client that I'm working with now, and their average rents are $1,500 a month. So their income is 90. So, and we on the outset said they wanted a 10% profit margin. That's what they want at the end of the day, at the end of the year. That's what they want to make. So, and then the valuation is just what, if they were to sell their portfolio of 5, the valuation of profit, like future income, if you will. So this is just kind of a spreadsheet that we plug in different numbers. Now this person wants to increase their profit by 20%.
Are you supposed to be showing your screen? Because I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see this?
No,
okay,
dear. Share your screen.
Okay, let me go back. Hold on. Okay, nothing?
No, I don't see
Okay.
the screen.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Down. Can you see it now? Let me see.
It might be because
There, here we go. Okay, I think I'm probably going to not do what you just said, but here we go. Share. Share. Okay, let's start here.
there you go. That's fine. I can see it now.
Okay, here we go. Now, can everybody see it? Yes. All right. Remember, I did warn you that I was the. Okay, so here's what I was kind of overview talking about. So when I start working with folks and they want to do single family homes, and they're wanting to, build their wealth and their net worth and everything, we start with this 5-year picture projection. So this is actually somebody I'm working with. And so basically what I was saying here is, if you can kind of see my cursor, they said when they get a rental property, they want it to be a profit margin of at least 10%. Okay, so then this is on 5 rentals over the course of a year. The average rent that they're collecting is $1,500. So if you're somebody that's sitting here and you're like, I want to quit my day job, because that's what a lot of people tell me. They wanted to retire early and quit their day job. That's why they get into real estate investing. So if I asked one lady and she said, well, I need to replace my husband's income. And I said, well, how much does he make? And she's like, well, he makes, $150,000. And I said, well, what about benefits? So his benefit package was close to, $100,000 with insurance and retirement and all that. So they really needed to be in year 3. Well, so they would have to have 182 qualified leads and convert 9% of those into rental properties to get 16 rental properties averaging $1,500 a month. And then their profit margin is actually 18%, but they're only making like the take home 53,000. So it just gets people to be real, because I'll meet people and they're like, oh, I want to be rich. And, but they have to realize that investing in real estate takes time. To build true wealth takes time. And so when you walk through the real estate journey, you can make errors when you first buy properties, because that's the good thing about buy and holds, is that it's a little forgiving. If you pay a little bit too much, or maybe your tenant is a little under rent, over time you can recoup those. If you buy a property that's completely, you buy a $400,000 property, but the rents are only $1,500 in the neighborhood, that's not a good buy. So that's kind of what we help people get real about. How can they really retire early? So we start with this big picture. Now for my process, so I kind of just did it down and dirty for you guys, but basically every week I'll go in and I get the leads from the pre-probates, and I will sort and download the list. So what I'm looking for is the square footage, the year the property was built. We have a lot of older properties in Dallas, and so I got a house that was built in like 1950. And it was a cute little house. The lady had lived there, I don't know, 40 some years, but you know what? It was too much work for me. So I ended up just wholesaling that house. So, but that was a pre-probate, and I was able to wholesale it, and I made a very nice wholesale fee on that. So I got the house under contract for 45, and I ended up wholesaling it for 55. So I made 10, and the buyer paid we did a double close, if y'all know what that is. So I didn't have to pay any of the closing fees or anything. But what I'll do is I'll print out my list, and depending on how many names I have, I'll either just print out the list, and then like I said, I have my mom from the neighborhood. She'll just hand address the envelopes for me and the little message. If we have about 200 is when I'll go and get them printed, because she can write pretty fast. And then, like I said, we just do the simple message that we are interested in your property at X, Main Street. And what I do is I will make the salutation to the family. So I'll say, dear Smith family, or I don't say the deceased name. So, you have the deceased name, and then you have the last name. So we'll just make it to the Smith family. Dear Smith family, we are interested in the property at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please give us a call. And then we track everything we do, we track. It's so important. And that's how I know that these pre-probate leads are awesome, because I've tracked my results. I am my return on investment, I always have been able to recoup whatever I've paid for the list, postage, and even my mom, that I pay her like $10 an hour. I'm able to recoup that money back. And I track that all through CallRail. And as I said before, most of the time I have somebody answer the phone. So you can set CallRail up so it has a designated number. The person sees, whoever's answering the phone sees that it's a pre-probate number that's calling, and we designate it for whatever area it is. So I know it's Frisco, they're calling, that's the area that I live in. So I know that person's calling. And then the number they see when I return the phone call, because there's a cool way to call people back in CallRail where they see the CallRail number. So and I call them right from my cell phone. So let me just show you some of the results that we've gotten. And so this is, again, over 18 months and really honing down, and these are averages. So for every 100 mailers, we'll get 10 phone calls. And of the 10 phone calls, we almost always nail a deal. And the average profit that I'm getting or splitting with a partner, because I do a lot of things with partners, is about $5,000. So back to what Tangi was saying about the cost of the list. I think, didn't you say it was like $6.99 for 3 months or something? So we are easily able, and I bought in December of 2020. I actually
$5.99 for 3 months.
$5.99. Okay.
Now,
And
we
I'll
do
just
recommend that they try at least a 6 month or a year, because you know, Nancy, that your startup time took a little while.
Yes, and I would say that too. You need to give yourself 6 months, and that's what we did, because there's going to be a little bit of learning curve, and there's going to be a little, and especially if you're brand new to real estate investing and marketing, there's going to be, when the person calls, you might be going, you know, and maybe you're not familiar with the probate process. So I'm in Texas. And you know, they don't have to go through probate. There's like affidavit of heirship, and if you work with a really good title, you don't even have to know all that. You just work with a really investor-friendly title company, and they will help you get that house sold, so you don't have to wait months and months and months. But we just did one, so I just re-upped back in 2020 or December. So I paid for a whole year, so I paid more than $700, and I've already recouped that money back. So I paid, I can say how much I paid, right, Tangi? Should I? Yes? Oh, went out.
Well, one county is $1,750 on the discounted rate that we give you, and
Yeah.
then each county you add is $875. But if you
Oh,
want
yeah. So
counties, we'll put a package together.
had a chunk of change, and my first deal out of the gate of the new year, because I actually added a couple counties, we were able to make that back. And so when I say average the 5,000, I'm making back my investment to the list, because I went ahead and just signed up for another year. I'm making back my investment for postage. Now, these little cards I showed you, that so they take first class. Of course, the postcards, they take you know, the postcard rate or whatever. And yes, are there cheaper ways I could do it? But this is just, this system works for us. So we're able to recoup back. And I can tell you, over all the years I've been doing investing, and I've done a lot of different lists with different companies, and this is the only company that I have stuck to consistently because of the results I'm getting. So I can't say enough about your company and the list. The leads are really good. I mean, the leads are really, really good, you guys. And it does, I think, I like the pre-probate because they're not as heavily marketed, I don't think, as opposed to probate, because probate is, you know, like here you can go on the county. Once it's in probate, you can just find it. You know, pre-probate's a little bit harder, and
But it doesn't say if they own real estate, and that's the problem, Nancy.
And that is, and
yeah.
you spend tons of time. I mean, if you think about all the time and money you would spend, whether you hire a virtual assistant to call through those or make phone calls or whatever. And I just know personally, it was too much, because if you're doing your own calling or follow-up calls, after a while, you'll just get burned out. So
yeah, you want to delegate your minimum wage duties to other people.
Exactly. So this is kind of where we're at. So for the 1,000 mailers, so you can see that the average income in a year, you know, I'm averaging 10 deals, and this is just one aspect of our business, right? And remember, this is just from the marketing with pre-probate, and then I didn't even include the referral business that I've gotten from the people that I've done business with. So I just can't say enough. I think it's a great source of lead flow. I think that Jennifer and Tangi are easy to work with. The website is super easy to work with. Let's see. Oh, wrong way. So, and then the last thing I wanted to just share with everybody, you can see that I had this, where am I going here? Back. So this is my contact info. If y'all want to just, you know, shoot me an email. The book that Tangi was talking about, it's called The Profitable Landlord System. It'll be ready in about a month. And this is a step-by-step training manual about how to buy investment properties. Will help you identify your ideal seller, you know, how to find them, how to identify the key performance indicators for not only sellers, but tenants, you know, lenders, that kind of thing. So you can go onto the website and check it out. You know, find me on Facebook, and, you know, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Love to hear from all of you.
Now let's talk about the book, because the book is not just a book. It's a step-by-step training manual. Now,
Yeah.
obviously they can buy this book for, I think we talked about, how much did you say you're charging for
It's going to be 97. The book is going to retail for 97.
Okay, now if they buy this book and they said, let's say the webinar gets over and they really want to buy the book, it's a step by guide to tell them what?
So how to identify what we call a profitable seller. So for me, I like a seller that's in a certain zip code. So we talk about how to go about finding your ideal profitable seller. Where's the best place for you to buy a rental property? There's so many elements to buying it's not just about the location. It's like how many rentals are in that particular area. What is the average rent? Because I'll talk to people and they'll think they're getting a deal, but they have no idea what the rents are in the neighborhood, or if the neighborhood is 80% rentals. So we look at, for each module that's in the book, which goes through sellers and tenants and lenders, we look at 10 key performance indicators. And what I've made it so simple for everyone, it's a color-coded system. So you literally add up the numbers. You see that if it's a green, you should buy that property. If it's a yellow, that means that the risk over time you'll be able to absorb. And if the numbers turn out to be red, do not buy that property. So we make it super simple. We peel back all the layers about how to basically how to make money in single family homes.
So this is a book that they can go to a particular area, plug the numbers in of 10 properties, and it'll tell them, yes, it's a great area to buy, or no, it's not. Is this just for rental, or is this for anything? Could it be for wholesale? Could it be for fix and flip? I mean,
so it's the way we designed it is only for single family rentals. Now, doesn't mean you couldn't find a good rental and wholesale it, but if you found a good rental, why wouldn't you keep it? Because you're going to make more money than wholesaling it, right? So my philosophy is, I mean, if you need to, if you're first starting out, you need to build cash, but we also go into how to navigate through lending. And because once you find a great property, you need to be able to buy it, right? So we also work with them on our big network of lenders, helping them acquire the property as well. Because our philosophy is we want to help people build wealth and leave a legacy for their family and get that financial freedom. Because of all the landlords that we talk to, the reason that they do this is they want financial freedom and they want to quit the day job.
okay, so your other book, Winning Deals in Heels, what is that about?
So that's the story of myself and 9 other gals and our journey to become real estate investors. And the gist of the book is that, we didn't have any special skills except that we were consistent and we had a desire to get into real estate investing. We all have the same kind of thing, find a good mentor. Because you know what, there's a lot of things out there, but find someone that you can trust, that you can work with, that's going to actually help you step by step. Anybody who's been on a webinar out there, that that there are a ton of people selling all kinds of things about how to be a real estate investor. And what I'm very passionate about is giving you all the details, because sometimes you'll sign up for a program, and I've done this myself. You sign it up and you're like, well, but what happens when you have this, and what happens when you have that? So the story is of all of us gals that started. How did we start out? We all, and to give like sisterhood to real estate investing, like you can do it. If you have the desire, there's people out there that's willing to mentor you, to help you along, to build that. So just that it's our story of how we got started, and that none of us were in real estate investing. It's just our stories.
Okay, so the Winning Deals in Heels is more like the story, but this book here is the one that you actually sell with the program that you sell. Now you actually have a thing where you take these people under your wing for 3 months. So
Yes.
They buy the book for $97 and they don't have to buy your, course?
Yeah, they don't have to buy it. Nope, they can just take it. They're probably gonna not get as much out of the book. So if you're gonna spend $100, then you might as well look into the whole program, because you're gonna be working directly with me. It's not like I farm you out to somebody else, and we work with you hand in hand. And the very cool thing that we do, because we had such good success with pre-probate, after the 4th week in our course, we actually give people the leads from pre-probates that we get from you guys.
Okay, so
That's
for 3 months,
that's part of our course.
so for three months, Well, they would buy the leads and you would just help them work them, is what she means.
No, we give, as part of their purchase of the course, we're
Mhm.
going to give them a set number of leads and we're going to help
Oh, a
them
set
work
number
it.
of leads to work them. Okay. I
Yep.
understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
So, because we
Now-
wanted to make it, we want them to be successful. So we want to be able to say, hey, you know what? These leads are really good. We're going to help you, because when the day is done, I really want to help you get to where you want to be, to have the life that you want. So real estate investing has been great for myself and my husband, so much so that, you know, we're able to do this to not only help other people get to where we were, but it's our journey, and we're going to take you exactly how we want. We had all those fears. We were so scared the first time we went to buy our first rental property. It was like, oh my gosh, because a lot of people think, when we talk to all these owners of rental properties, one of the fears that people have is that they're going to lose all their money, that they're going to make a terrible mistake. And so they get scared and they won't do anything. And we were right there. And when I bought my second property, I had, you know, a pit in my stomach. And then you finally get over that, because you realize, okay, this is a simple, predictable, and repeatable process that makes you money. And that's what we teach people.
Okay, so a lot of people are already subscribers that are going to come to you. So can you help them work their leads that they have with us?
We can do that. Yes, we can.
Talk to us about what your 3-month program is, because I don't think anybody really understands what it is. So you buy the book for $97, and how much is your training program for 3 months? And you told me earlier on your training program, you're going to Zoom call these people once a week. Y'all have a Zoom and you'll teach them once a week, 3 months straight.
So the way the process works is they'll go to, when they go to the website, there's an assessment there. So they're going to fill that out for me first. And then we're going to take them through. So we kind of need to evaluate where they're at in the investing process. What is their education level? Because I don't need to sell them something that they already know, or maybe I do need to sell them something because they don't know, right? So I need to find out where they're at, and then we'll have a phone call, right? And we'll determine, well, what is their actual goals? What are they trying to achieve? And can the profitable landlord system help them get there? So that's what we want. We want to make sure that it's a symbiotic relationship, that they are wanting to, you know, invest in single family homes. Because if somebody said, well, you know, I want to do multifamily and, you know, own a 200 unit apartment complex. Well, this isn't going to be for them. This is not going to be for them. This is for people who are looking for that steady rental cash flow, appreciation, income. And then depending on which modules that we customize for them will determine the price. So, you know, you have to see what the value is for. So just as generic, you know, if they only want to go for 3 months and they want to pay it out over time, then we're going to charge like $6,000 or $2,000 a month. But if they want to just, you know, pay for the whole thing up front, it's going to be $4,500. If they do everything, now because of all these things, I'm not going to put in there guarantee, but if you do everything and work the program exactly how we designed it, you will get back your money by the end of that 12 weeks, right? Because you're going to have your first property, and we're going to work with you on your leads and help you secure that first property.
So how much is it for them to buy the book and the 3-month program?
It would be the 45, because the book's included then. They just get the
$4,500.
Yep.
And they get to work with you for 3 months. That's weekly Zoom calls. They get the workbook, and that's going to tell them the stuff.
And then if they're local, we'll actually go with them on a couple of the appointments if they're local, because the way we designed it, this could be for anybody. I talked to Jennifer about somebody in Arkansas or whatever, so we can set that up. We'll help them talk to the seller. And then after the 4th week, once they've done, they'll have daily and weekly activities. There's a planner that will say, for accountability and consistency, this is what you have to do. Because, you know, you can want to have that better life and invest in real estate, but, you know, it's some work. You got to come to the table prepared to do the work. So once they do the work, at the end of the 4 weeks, then that's when we're going to start getting into the leads. We're going to help them with the marketing, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to work these leads together. And so we can set it up where I take the calls and they can listen, you know, so that there's a whole learning thing from start to finish, from setting your goals to actually acquiring the property, to getting the tenant, to getting it funded.
Right. And our people are going to want you to teach them to work their leads, Nancy. I know that you got your leads and that's great. And that's for your area, but our people.
Well,
are
we can do that too, because part of the system is just lead flow, because at the end of the day, you constantly need deal flow. Because if you want to scale your business, I mean, most people don't want to just have 1 or 2 or 3 properties. They want multiple properties. Well, that means you've got to consistently market. You've got to consistently funnel your deals. And so, yes, we work, that's part of the process as well. So there's a daily activity, a weekly activity, quarterly, monthly, and all of that.
Now, could they buy the book and get enough information? Let's say that they're not going to buy the course. They just, for some reason, they can't. Let's say that they just literally just want the $97 book.
They can, yes, they'll be
that formula is in there that'll allow them to walk into a neighborhood. If they want to do a rental, take 10 properties, plug those numbers in to see if they're in the yellow, the green, or the red.
Exactly. They'll be able to do that. Exactly.
Okay. How do we order the book?
So what it'll probably be available. It's going to print within the next few days. So I would say probably at the end of the month, it's going to be on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they email you?
Yeah, they should email me, so then I can let them know when it's actually released. You know, if you've ever written a book before, you think it's like, oh, okay, we had another call today about the final edits. So there's always an edit going on. Like this book took me a year to write, and it's like, I don't even know, it's like 50 some pages. The workbook is over 100 pages, so it's taken a while to go through it. So.
Well, I've got some questions coming in, so I'd like to open it up to Q&A unless you have any more.
Let's stump me. I love it when they try to stump me, because I'll just say, you know what, let me get back to you on that. So.
Why are you only making $5,000 per deal? Are you wholesaling?
Okay, so that was just an average. So what we do is, remember I said I don't do, so some of these are retails. So I'll farm those out, I'll wholesale them, and that's only per 100. So I was kind of giving you an idea of when I send out cards for 100, and some of the areas that I'm working in are, you know, they're very low, like the houses are only like $10,000-$15,000. So that's one of my areas. So that has something to do with it. But we'll wholesale. I have partners that you know, they've helped with the marketing costs or something. So on average, that's what that is. I mean, you know, one deal we made 20, one deal we made, I think I made 750, because it was not a very, you know, some deals are really, really good and some not. So that's, I mean,
a lot of people are used to wholesaling and used to making, you know, 20 grand, 30 grand a deal. So when you said $5 grand, you know, JB was like, why
we have partners, and then, so that's my profit. So if I have a partner, then they're getting another 5. So, and you know what, I'm kind of about volume and, you know,
I'd rather have $55,000 deals than 3 $10,000 ones.
Exactly. So.
Yep. Okay. So I got that. How do you do wholesale? You don't hold all of them. You wholesale. Do you fix and flip? Tell us what you're doing there.
So yeah, so last year we kind of focused a little bit more on owner financing. There's a real need here and pretty much everywhere across the nation for affordable housing. So we got, we created some notes. We still did rentals. The fix and flips, I think the last one I did was a few months ago, and you know, we just really weren't seeing the profit, and with the time, it was very time consuming to do the flips. And you know, when I look at my profit sheet and I pay the amount of taxes on flip income, there's just other ways I'd rather make money. So we got into owner financing. So what we would do is, I work a lot with people that have their IRAs. I use private money lenders to acquire properties, and then I owner finance them. So I'll buy them for one price, sell them for another price. We don't do a lot of fixing up. We make sure the major systems work, and then we season the note, meaning that the new buyer has paid their mortgage for anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and then we sell the note. So we kind of have a rotating, some of them I keep. So for example, I bought a house 2 years ago for $10,000. And we sold it. We put a sign in the yard, didn't know what we were going to do with it. It was a wreck. And we put a sign in the yard in Spanish and English. We sold that thing for $50,000 owner finance. The people are fixing it up. They've been in there ever since. And I bought it with my husband's IRA.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like I've done a lot. If you Google me. I've done this particular house. I've done a lot of webinars or podcasts about it. It's like a 114% in return on my money or something. It's like,
what's the most you've ever made on a property?
the most I've ever made is on at any one time. Well, I'll make a lot of money on that house, but it'll be over time. So at any one time, I've made about 60,000 at any one time.
Okay.
But over time, with the owner financing, I mean, on this particular house, I'll make close to over $100,000.
Wow, that's great.
Because we did the note for 15 years. So.
Okay, good. Please give me an example of two of what you say on your postcards when you get the lead, when you first get the lead, including how to get an appointment. So they're wanting to know what you're saying on your postcards to get in there.
Okay, perfect. Great question. So I have a little cheat sheet. I call it my seller cheat sheet. So what I do is, first of all, I know what list they're calling from because why? I have call rail. So I already know they're a pre-probate lead. Okay, so they'll call and the first question they'll ask me is, how did you get my name? And so I say, well, I don't say, well, I got off a pre-probate list. What I say is, and this is usually when I talk about how I'm a real estate broker and I work with people who are looking to buy a house in your neighborhood, right? Because we talk about doing a lot of owner finance and finding houses or whatever. And that's a really good segue because I'm talking about how we're giving people affordable housing. So this is a person that's calling, they got a house to sell, and I have a buyer already, right? And I let them know there's no commissions or whatever, but that we act as the bank for the owner financing. So then once we kind of get through that, and then they'll kind of start talking about, you know, maybe if somebody's living in that. So I usually ask first, is anybody living in the house? And they'll say, well, it was my dad's house or my aunt's or uncle's. So then I'll kind of just say, oh, well, how long's the house been vacant? And then usually you get into the story. So I just kind of let them talk. These folks want to talk, right? If they've called you, they want to talk. So then in the conversation, I'm like, okay, well, great. Well, just tell me a little bit about the house. How many bedrooms does it have? What year was it built? And one question I ask is, when was the last time it was updated? Great question, because they'll say, oh, well, we put a new roof on in 2015, or you know what, my dad lived there for 50 years and they didn't do anything. So if you know the house was built in 1940 and dad lived there for 50 years, you're going to have to replace the electrical, the plumbing, you know, the sewer line and all of that. So I asked some generic questions about the house because I'm going to ascertain if this is a house that I think I'm going to want as a rental. So I'm already formulating my exit strategy. So once I get all that information, then I ask them, well, when are you looking to sell the house? So that gives you an idea of their time frame, you know, because I let them know I can, you know, close fast, but I close on their time frame. So then I have an idea of how long I have to either get money together or what is. Now, remember, I have not actually gotten an appointment because I'm not asking for one. The next question I ask them after I found out a little is like, what are you looking to get for the house? Because most of the time, this is somebody's house that nobody lives there, you know, or mom has to move out because dad passed away, but they've got a number in mind because normally they've had the house for a long time. So once you get the number, then you've got kind of a ballpark of what they're thinking. So for example, this house that was that we got for $10,000, the guy wanted 20, but I already knew the house was like built in 1940. And there's no way I'm going to pay that much money. And no one had been living in the house for 5 years. So we actually made him an offer over the phone because while I'm doing that, depending on how the conversation's going, I also ask about if they're the decision maker, but I have the ability as the real estate agent to go in and start running numbers to see the number that they're telling me they want. Is it even in the ballpark? Because, you know, sometimes people just want too much money for their house and you have to be able to say, walk away. So I do not go to every single appointment. I make offers over the phone before I even see the house. I want to know that they're a serious seller before I drive, you know, across town. Oh, unmute.
What do you put on your postcard? They want you to give them examples.
Okay, so this particular postcard, I got to put my specs on so I can read it to you. So will we say the same message? Let me just get that message. This is exactly what I say. I say, dear whatever family, I am interested in your property at 123 Main Street. If you are interested in selling, please give us a call. Sincerely, and then whoever's answering the phone. So in this case, I have a guy named John answering the phone, and then the phone number. And that's it. That's all we say. We say the same thing on the postcard, and on the postcard, it'll have the message. This one did say, we did add husband and wife team. We found that we had a better response rate from this simple message I just read than the one that says, hello, you know, we're a husband and wife team. The letter was a little bit more involved. We have used the phrase, we can help you with probate costs. We didn't really get anywhere. In fact, sometimes when people call about that, they'd like, well, what are you talking about? Because they wouldn't even know that there were costs, because remember, these are pre-probate. Yeah. So they wouldn't necessarily even maybe have probate costs.
We have a lot of people that have great success with that. I actually had a guy that does pre-probates in one of the areas I won't say, but he got 5 wholesale deals in 3 weeks because he offered to help pay for the probate. And what he did is he hooked himself up with a local attorney, and they're doing his probates for him for $1,500. And then another local, check it out. And there's another attorney in Orlando that's actually starting the probate process at no cost other than filing fees. And he'll do the whole probates for him. And he said he's literally doing these probates in a couple of weeks, which is unheard of, because I know there's certain processes that have to take place, but he knows how to get around them. And when you talk to your attorney, you really should be interviewing the attorney, like, how soon can you get the probate done? You know, when can I buy the property? Because a lot of people think you have to finish the probate process before you can buy the property, and you just don't.
No, you don't. And so what we do is we work with a title company that has an attorney on staff, so they handle everything. And so then we just get it done. They get the right paperwork, and it's very seamless for our person, our seller.
Somebody wants you to, Michael's asking if you could please explain the spreadsheet again real quick.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, I'm going to go back to it so we can see it. Okay, so this is, remember, a big picture. So I have clients that I'm working with. So what I want to do is find out what their financial goals are, right? Because if you told me that you wanted to make, let's just, if you see on year 5 and it says $913,000. If I said to you, okay, how much money, Michael, do you want to make? And you're like, well, I want to quit my job and I need to bring in, you know, $500,000. Then this gives me an idea, and gives you an idea of where you need to be, how aggressive you need to be with your real estate investing. Now, again, this is just based on single family homes. So when I'm saying the seller leads, you have to have 100 qualified. So you might have to have way more. So when I'm talking about qualified, these are people that meet your criteria of what a profitable seller is. So for me, it's someone that it's in a particular area, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no pool, and the rents in the area have to be at least $1,500 a month, right? And then the price of the house, and there's some other factors that go into that, but my conversion rate has to be at least 5%. So now I'm getting, the sellers is actually properties. I've acquired 5 properties. And then if you average over 12 months collecting $1,500 a month, then your annual income on those 5 properties is going to be $90,000. This person said, I want to get 10%. I want to make 10% profit. So we have another sheet that we use to determine, like, if there's a mortgage and taxes and all of that. But they want to make at the end of the year $9,000 profit. That is the profit. So then you just take that for, okay, where do you want to be next year and the year after? And what this does is this helps me set up their planner for the activities that they need to do each day, each week, each quarter to achieve these financial goals. So this is what my clients tell me that they want to earn. And from this, then that's how I build their planner in the 3-month program, if that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Who takes if you could go to your other screen too, that way it's on your phone number and your contact information. Who takes the seller calls? I know that you'd mentioned that earlier, but
we have a multitude of ways that so if I have a partner, so we market to outlying areas, so I'll have trusted boots on the ground, so to speak. So they'll take the call initially. I have used virtual assistants. I've used different partners. Occasionally I do. I used to in the beginning, I took all the calls because I had to. Because when you're just starting out, you have to, number one, you need to so that you can make sure your system works, but also so you can kind of get a feel for what people are going to be saying on the phone and building rapport. Because remember, the people that are answering the phones, you need to train them. So if it's not me, it's somebody, either a staff person that I've hired, or a virtual assistant, and or a boots on the ground in an area that we're marketing and targeting.
Okay. Another person asked, please define pre-probates, but that's more for me. So a pre-probate basically means that they died last week. We verify there's real estate attached, and then we give the lead to you this week. The benefit of using a pre-probate is not only will you be first at the door, but if they've inherited the property via a trust, you may be able to buy it right now. No lines, no waiting. But there's also benefits to working a probate. The benefit of working a probate is it's 1 week after they file probate. Now, once they file probate, the benefit of working a probate is if they do have to go through probate, at least they've already filed and they may be closer to making the decision. So it's called striking the iron while it's hot. And it's honestly good to work both lists. There may be some duplication, but some people that are in pre-probate status will never even make it to probate status. So they're both honestly beneficial.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to add the probate. We just got to a point where we had all of our systems in place so we can actually add probate. And I think that, doing pre-probate, because some people are kind of nervous about doing pre-probate, right? But you shouldn't be nervous about it. They're great leads. And
as long as you're not offering condolences and sympathy and you're being generic, like Nancy said, there's no reason to be scared. I have a whole slideshow that talks
about not. Now, if it comes up in conversation that, a family member passed, of course I'm going to say, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, and again, it's about being a good listener. Like when you start talking about, well, what questions do you ask? Well, you know what? You need to make sure you're listening for the cues, because they're going to let you know when they're ready to talk about the house. But if you just start off a conversation without getting to know a little bit and building rapport with them, you're not going to get very far. So my conversations with the seller are around the house come as we're conversing, right? I'm really talking more about the buyer that I might have for their house, and I don't necessarily have a buyer for the house, but if I'm looking at owner financing, because for me, that's been a really good way to open the door. Because remember this, you're not the only investor that's probably calling them or talking to them or mailing to them. So you've got to set yourself above the rest. And if you're just talking about the house, you're going to miss the boat.
Okay. What can you share about navigating the lending process? Is this in the book?
It is in the book.
Perfect.
So just a little story about me. When I first started investing, I told the story about coming from Phoenix and selling our house and all of that. And so, we had the big down payment for our first rental, and then we saved up some money and bought the next one. Well, after a while, you run out of money. And I could just say this, all lenders are not created equal. And so a pet peeve of mine through my real estate investing years has been lenders who say they're investor friendly, but are not really investor friendly. Because once you bought a certain amount of properties, it's not like you're going to be able to walk into Bank of America or Wells or Chase or Quicken Loans and get a loan for your rental property. So there's some tips and tricks that we've learned over the years about using private money lenders. I have a couple of articles that will be and have been in Think Realty magazine and also American Association of Private Money Lenders about leveraging private money. And I'm a big proponent and have built a great network of people that I can call up, negotiate a rate. They earn money on their IRA. I am able to close quickly. And it's relationship building. So if you haven't looked into private money lending, it's a great opportunity to leverage relationships that you have with people that have money and they're looking to passively invest in real estate. I wouldn't suggest being partners on a single family home that you're going to hold as a rental. It's just cumbersome. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love private money lenders. I specifically have some expertise working with people with small dollar IRAs, people with under $50,000 and pooling multiple people. So I did a deal The smallest deal I've done is I bought a house subject to. I needed $3,000 for reinstatement. It was a foreclosure, and $5,000 for repairs, closing costs. I knew 2 people. One had 5, one had 3. They were in second lien position, which I told them, but they know me, and they were fine with it. So they were my lenders. I got the property, did owner finance, ended up selling the note. I just recently acquired a rental where I did the same thing with my private money lenders. I had 4 people with 5 different IRAs, and they're my lenders on my rental property. So they're making money out of their IRA, and I'm able to acquire the property, and it's just a lot less hassle going to the bank. Yeah.
We have about 10 minutes, so we have a few more questions.
Okay.
How has the coronavirus impacted your business, and what did you do to adjust, if any?
Oh my gosh, so funny. Well, if you guys want to tune in, I'm going to be talking tomorrow about pivoting your real estate business. You know what? I've been just as busy. It really has not slowed me down. People still need to sell houses. We acquired 3 properties since COVID. I've since sold 1. The other one went under contract. We did just recently. So 1 we sold owner finance. 1 we have under contract for retail, and the other one we're keeping as a rental. So no difference. Now, my specialty is staying within a certain price range. I don't go over ARV of 250. If you stay under 250, you will weather any storm, and that's why we're able to weather COVID. If you find yourself stuck with a house, $500,000, it could be a little tough. Now, funny story, right before COVID, I have a rental that's in an area in Dallas that would make a great Airbnb. My tenant's been there for 5 years, and so we decided in February, we were pivoting. We decided to give this tenant notice because her lease was up. So we gave her notice to be out at the end of March, and we were going to turn this into, so get her out in March, refurnish it and everything, and get it on the market for an Airbnb in May. Okay, so this did impact my decision. So then COVID hit and shelter in place. So we ended up calling the tenant, and she was having a hard time, finding a place anyway. So we said, look, because our property taxes went up and we needed to get more rent. That was one of the reasons too. Well, so I just said, look, I need to raise the rent by $100. If you can absorb the $100, I'll sign a year's lease. And she did, and that's what we did, and we moved on. So we just, and I am pretty flexible, like even in these times. And I think if you're going to be a serious real estate investor, you've always got to be thinking outside the box. So for me, it didn't really impact me. If I had a lot of Airbnbs, it would have impacted.
Okay, when you talk about follow you tomorrow night, you're going to be talking about pivoting. Follow you on where? Where would they find that?
Oh, so that's going to be noon tomorrow. Quest Trust Company. They're having like a lunch and learn, and I'm going to be the person speaking. It's 12 o'clock.
Central time?
Yeah, Central Time. It's Quest Trust Company. You can find them on Facebook. They're going to do a Facebook Live, and I'll be the speaker tomorrow. And I'm going to be talking about reassessing your real estate business in the COVID times.
Quest Trust Company.
Yeah, they're the IRA company that I work with a lot I use a lot of people's money from Quest Trust. Because if you're going to do that thing where you borrow money from people with IRAs, they need to have a self-directed IRA.
All right. Do you enclose a business card when you do anything with an envelope?
I do not.
Okay. How long from call to closing? We've got about 8 minutes, just so you know.
So, that depends. So we've done as fast as, really is the title work. As far as getting money and getting it under contract, that's, you can do that in a day. And it really depends on the paperwork, and clearing titles. So I would say the average with the pre-probate is about 30 days. But right now I'm working with one that I started working with him last year. And it's been one thing after another with the clouded title. We keep extending it. It's going to make a great rental, and hopefully we'll close this month. So it just depends, but getting it under contract is not the issue. It's usually the title work and getting to the closing table because of what's going on with the title.
Kimberly says, is it a deal breaker if you suck in math?
It is not. And you know, it's so funny. So that's why I do spreadsheets that plug in numbers, but I have to have my husband check it because he's the IT guy. That is not my strong suit, Kimberly. So if I can do it, you can do it. I write out a lot of stuff on a piece of paper and have to double check it. And, you know, so that's, you know, you can't be all things and you can't be an expert in everything. So you just own up to what you're not the best at.
Do you use a VA to make your follow-up call on the cold call follow-ups?
Not on the follow-ups. We used to do some cold calling. When we get these lists together, when it was time, like we had 6 months, and it was time to turn them around. But if it's somebody that is an actual like warm lead, I'll make the call. So we make sure that if it's just, you know, hey, we're just checking back with you, we'll do a VA. All
right. So Timothy says, I'm in LA, which makes cap rates very low. Would you recommend buying properties in a different state? So basically virtual.
Okay, so yes, you know what, Timothy, there's a guy out there, Michael Zuber. He wrote a book called One Rental at a Time. He's great. I've been on his podcast. So I'd say get his book. But you know what, in LA, I would find it hard to be a landlord there. The landlord laws are very favorable to tenants. So yes, and then California, the prices, property taxes. So yes, if I were you, I would look in an area that's a little more profitable, but also that you have somebody with boots on the ground.
So as a realtor, because of the do not call list, should I have someone else do the calls or texts because I'm a realtor?
So let me just say this on the do not call list, whenever you have a list, I always scrub my list against the do not call list. I always do. And then if somebody ever asks you to remove their list, just do it. I've never had an issue because we use a company called Data Finder. They've been good. You guys might know another one. I've had success with them. They have about they'll scrub the list for you. You send your list and it'll scrub, and then you get back a clean list. On text messaging, be super careful. In Texas, it's a huge no-no, big fines. There's people just waiting for you to text them. So try not to do, I know a lot of people do blast texting. I don't. We have done texting where once we've established a relationship with somebody, then I will just do it like a one-on text message, but I don't do blast text messaging. Plus, I think for the type of leads I'm working, the pre-probate, it's just, usually they don't appreciate that. That's just my own, what I have found.
Okay. How can you incorporate this system with wholesaling? I want to work pre-probate and then wholesale to build up my revenue because I'm broke.
Okay. You mean, how can you, is the question, how can you use the pre-probates to wholesale?
No, your system.
Oh, okay. Well, so what you would be focusing on is ultimately you would want to have buyers that are going to buy these properties. I'm a landlord that's always looking for a good property. So once you understand the fundamentals of rentals and what is attractive to a landlord, then yes, you could wholesale them. It would depend on the area that you're in. So like for me, like I have wholesalers always sending me deals, but because it's a very competitive and kind of price sensitive market here, it's hard for a wholesaler to sell me a good rental because they're not getting it low enough.
Okay. If you wholesale a house, do you disclose that you're assigning the contract?
We do. The Texas contracts are assignable, so you don't even have to say it, but we do.
Okay. Let me see. Yes, there's going to be a replay for everybody who's asking.
Yay!
Let's see here. What is the median home price in your area where you are buying? Is it under like 250 or what is it?
Yes, it is. So I just looked at some numbers. I didn't get them because I know it gets kind of boring, but the average sales price right now in the DFW area is about $228,000. And I had 2 properties in the last 2 weeks. One was listed at $150 and it sold for $155, matter of days. We had another property at $160, multiple offers, just got under contract today for $165. So yeah, if you have a house, if you're in my area and you have a house, and I think pretty much anywhere you can find a house low enough, and you're trying to wholesale it, you should be fine.
All right. So how are you finding and initially approaching your private lenders?
So I do a lot of networking, and Quest Trust Company has a lot of lunch and learns. So I've gone to a ton of them. I've done presentations for them, and private money lending is just about them getting to know you. Be a person of good word, you know, trustworthy. You know, there's a way that you can position yourself to lenders where you can, number one, you need to know what questions to ask a lender. Number two, you need to know how to position yourself so that people will want to lend to you. So if I have a brand new investor sending me a deal, yeah, you know, I'm going to be asking them all kinds of questions, right? And same with any lender. So I have a track record, and now I have people that I have borrowed money from and paid back, so I'm able to have references, but that took a little time. But when I say time, less than a year. So it's just networking, you know, getting out there, letting people know. You know, I'm known as someone that has a lot of deal flow. I've done a lot of presentations. I've written articles. So just, you want to position yourself that you're somebody that they want to lend money to. I've never been asked this, but sometimes private money lenders will want to know your credit background. If you're brand new, they're going to want to kind of know about your financials. So I've never had anybody ask me that, but that could happen. But that's a whole module that we talk about in my profitable landlord system, is how to position yourself to get lending.
Kimberly wants to know, she was talking about pre-probates. How do you wholesale a pre-probate? People do it all the time.
People do it all the time. You know what? It's all about what you get it under contract for. And so, for example, I have a house right now. I am wholesaling it. The one I was talking about that we've been holding on for a long time. So we have it for like 110, and we're selling it for 120.
Okay. Favorite real estate book? Well, yours, of course.
Well, mine, but next to mine. Okay, so this is a good tip. So when I got started, and I love Gary Keller's Real Estate Millionaire Investor. It's the blue book. That was my Bible when I started out, you know, how to buy my single family homes. It's a great book if you're brand new, or if you've only bought a couple properties. It's just great to kind of have, you know, get your own system going. But it's a great book. Of course, Winning Deals and Heels, and then Profitable Landlord. There's so many good books, but I think the reason that one sticks in my mind is when I first started investing, that's the book I was handed. And they said, when you read this, come back and we'll start, you know, getting your first rental property. And a day later, I came back.
Okay. Best wholesaling book. Is that kind of?
So I don't do I can't really speak to any wholesaling books. So let me look back here on my thing. And oh, you know what? It's also Profit First. That's a good book. Whether you're a wholesaler, because if you don't have any money and you're going to wholesale, you need to learn how to pay yourself first.
Okay. So if you're going to wholesale, you need to learn how to pay yourself first.
Yeah. So read the book Profit First.
Profit First.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you treat probates differently than other types of leads? Well, she's working pre-probates right now, and she's getting ready to add probates to her portfolio. She's mastered the pre-probates, and now she's ready to tackle the probates.
Yeah.
Last but not least, could you please role play a call for pre-probate to probate? Well, as I just stated, she's just working pre-probates right now, guys. So honestly, when you call a pre-probate, it's not much different than when you call a probate. When you're calling a probate,
it's not at all. It's not, and you know what? It's not any really different than pre-foreclosure, absentee owner. You still have to build rapport with the person on the other end, right? You cannot make it about the house. You've got to make it about them. What are their pain points? Why are they selling? When do they want to sell? You know, you've got to make it about them. Then you can flow into about the property, how many bedrooms, how old, when's the last time it was updated, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think when you think about these different groups of sellers, they're all, what makes them a profitable seller is they're all in some distressed situation. Otherwise, they just sell it on the open market, right? And distressed situations, their house needs repairs, it's outdated, somebody died, you know, their foreclosure, it's vacant, they're tired landlords.
selling is like the last thing they're thinking of at this point. That's why it's up to you to educate them.
Yeah, you need to figure out what their problem is and then come up with the solution.
Right. So basically what I do in the letter that I recommend is I can, you know, don't sell, you know, don't pick up, don't rehab, don't repair. I can buy the house as is, the way it is right now. Well, guess what? They didn't even fathom that thought. All they thought is, oh my God, look at this horse and buggy wallpaper I'm gonna have to rip down, and these paneling walls, and this old floor, and the pink bathtub. And they're thinking, I've got to rehab, I got to have 6 furniture pickups and 3 or 4 garage sales. And they don't even fathom the idea of selling the property until you.
Yeah, they don't. And so you have to figure out what their pain point is. And so we do offer other services. I didn't really get into it, but once I find out what they need, you know, I mean, we'll buy the house with all the stuff in it, but if they need somebody to, we have people that we can call to help them clean out the house. So we try to find out what their problem is, and then you offer the solution. And then you come in as not just some investor trying to, you know, take their house. You're coming in as someone who really cares about their situation, respects what they're going through. And remember, these homes, most of the time, these homes are family homes, and there's tons of memories. We've worked with people that they are ready to sell. They just can't let go of the memory. And if you try to rush them, they're just going to sell to the next person. So
absolutely. And I like what you said earlier, because I teach the same thing. Your job on the phone is to, in the end of the conversation, is what is the absolute lowest you would take on this property?
Right.
Okay, 80,000. Okay, well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Jones. If I can get you $80,000 within the next 30 days, would you sell? Yes, I would. Bam, send over the contract.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
So you don't have to go. Yeah, there's so many ways that you can go. Now, I know people that like to go see the house first. Well, once you, and you know, if you're new, okay, maybe, but you know what? To me, it's like, you can do so many more deals if you don't do that.
I mean, you can still run right over. My point is just get that, you know, once you get that agreement, you've closed the deal. Just go
you got it.
and take it in person, look at the property. And when you get there, see if it'll take 70. Because
Yep.
they'll always take less on, they'll always take
And
less
you know,
on
just a little tip, because I didn't ever used to do inspections or anything. I mean, I'd get it under contract, then I'd go see the house, right? And then I might negotiate. But now, because of certain things that have happened to me personally, I do pay for inspections. Whether in Texas, we have a lot of foundation, and I have had to replace 2 sewer lines at, you know, 10 grand each. So I now, and when we have older homes and have cast iron, that's what you have to do. So even if you're keeping it as a rental, that has to be replaced. So I have taken in the last maybe year and a half, where I now do inspections. Number one, it's just more leverage. Now, I only do that after I get it under contract, right? Because I really want to know what I'm getting myself into for my exit strategy.
Okay. Well, listen, Nancy, it's past 7:30.
Okay.
And we really appreciate you.
Oh,
So
well, thank you. I've had a lot of fun.
Just to recap, okay? They're going to buy your book. If they want to add the course, you can train them for 3 months. You're going to help them use our leads that they bring to you.
Yes. Yes.
You're working your own. You're going to help them work the ones that they bring to you. And you're also going to teach them while you're working your own how to work them too, so they can learn how to work theirs. So the book's $97, but if they spend $4,500 to be on your 3-month training, the book comes free with that.
Exactly.
Or they
And
can
they
just
will
buy the
not
book
regret
and
it.
use.
They have to see the value in working with a person that knows what she's doing.
Who's done 50 deals already.
Exactly.
From 5,000 all the way up to 100.
If you want to make money, this is where you go. So, but no, and if anybody has any questions, just feel free to email me or whatnot. I'm always available most of the time, unless I'm working with a seller.
Well, thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Tangi, and thank you for everything that you guys, your company has done for me. I really appreciate the clean leads, and Jennifer's great and wonderful. She's a wonderful rep. Love having her.
Well, hey, thanks a lot. We appreciate you on the call, everybody, and have a great evening.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good 4th of July.
Bye.
Bye-bye.